Hey everybody, welcome to the Titanium Show. Today I'm going to be reviewing Star Wars Battlefront. Oh! Sniped! Alright, Star Wars Battlefront dropped on November 17th, 2015. I remember it well because I had a nose surgery that weekend. Was it that weekend or over Thanksgiving weekend? It was that weekend. Okay. That happened when I took a charge in high school and a guy landed on the back of my head. Anyway, whole nother story. Don't worry about that. The point is, I bought a brand new PS4. I got the pre-order with the Darth Vader edition. Bam! Baby, check that out. And my whole plan was in between a Vicodin and Deuce Stupor to just play Battlefront non-stop. Now, I was excited to get this game. I love Star Wars. Now, I hadn't played a Star Wars game in a while. It was probably Rogue Squadron on, I think, the GameCube. So I opened it up expecting this big, huge Star Wars universe to unfold and was a little confused. I was really expecting like story missions, you know, a campaign mode. And unfortunately, there really wasn't any of that. But I stuck with it. It forced me to play the multiplayer, and I came to actually love the game. It is Star Wars. You're in that universe. You're in a TIE fighter. You're in an X-Wing. You're running around on the fields of Hoth. I think that is what the game promised. It promised you Battlefront, and you are right there in the battles. There's a lot of different modes, a lot of different ways to play. There's smaller games like, you know, capture the flag, which they call cargo. There's drop pods, which these, you know, pods come out, you know, land, and the first one to get it and unlock it, you know, wins, or you gotta get 5 of them to win or whatever, but you get the point. There's another game called Droid where you gotta run around and sort of activate these droids and protect them. But then there's these big, massive, expansive game modes like Walker Assault and Supremacy, Turning Point, which is introduced a little bit later. It's 20 on 20, every vehicle, turret, you know, weapons available, heroes are available. It's almost mass chaos, but it feels 100% like you're right there in the middle of this war. And at first, all I was doing was just spawning and getting killed. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have great weapons. You know, it was a ball of confusion. But thankfully, one of my good friends, Pizza King, took me under his wing and showed me the ropes, gave me some tips, you know, let me know which weapons I needed to purchase first as I upgraded. And it started to become a lot of fun. By the time all was said and done, I became pretty darn good with the game. You know, I had upgraded everything that I needed to upgrade. I understood the strategy behind being smarter than other people, not just running into the middle and getting shot down. I actually had a blast with this game. It is beautiful. I mean, absolutely stunning. The graphics, the worlds. I mean, you're on Hoth running around with a million things flying by you left and right, and this full-on sound design that comes from Star Wars. You're also on Tatooine, you're on Solus, you're on Endor, and it's just so immersive. It is amazing. And there's a fighter squadron mode, which is a lot of fun. It's not, I mean, it's pretty, but it's not necessarily better than previous Star Wars flying games like Rogue Squadron, which I had played into the ground, but it's still pretty cool. I will say one problem with the game is sometimes queuing up and linking with your buddies and inviting people to like a party is a little clunky. I don't think that was the best design. The one other complaint I have about the game is while you're waiting for your game to start or move between menus, they'll pop up little tips on the left side of the screen. And I swear to you, they chose the smallest font they could possibly find for reasons I cannot understand. You have to be standing in front of the screen just staring at it to even read it. And they switch so quickly, you literally have to watch them like 5 or 6 times before you can actually read what each tip does. So easy fix, no brainer in my opinion. I'm not sure who was in charge of that, probably an intern. No offense to interns, I was one at one time. And you can play as the heroes of the game. You can play as Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Han Solo. You can play as Boba Fett, Darth Vader, and Darth Sidious. And then later, you know, they've added expansion packs and things like that you can buy. And you can play with Greedo, and you can play with his little Celestian guy, whatever his name is. So that's pretty cool. The mechanics of the heroes are not perfect. And they say famous quotes from the movies as you're running around killing people.
Best pilot in the galaxy, right here.
Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
That's pretty fun. I'm a sucker for that stuff. All right, let's get into the elemental scale. Start off first with the story. There is no story. I'm going to give this a 1. Okay, it's Star Wars. It's Star Wars. It's set during the rebellion, before the Death Star blows up, in a theoretical timeline probably. So I'll give it the benefit of being part of Star Wars, but there's no effort made really in the game developers at all to have an actual story. So let's say we'll give it a 2. We're being generous. All right, characters. Again, I'm going to be generous because it's piggybacking off the Star Wars universe. It's not credit to the game developers, but you do have Leia and Han and Luke and Darth and Boba and the Emperor, and you're a part of this whole larger universe that you feel like you know so well. So I'm being very generous, and that's the end of this. I'm going to give it a 5 just because those characters are so strong and so iconic. All right, the third category is upgrades, customizations, and side quests. You can unlock and upgrade pretty much every weapon and trait in the game, but the upgrades are not all that impressive. They each, after you use any special weapon or what they call star card, a special ability, it takes like a certain amount of cooldown time before you can use it again. Pretty much every upgrade just decreases the cooldown time. You don't get more powerful ones. They don't do new, cooler things or really look different, and that's a little disappointing. And then as far as customization, there's a lot of different emotes you can unlock. You know, the thumbs up. There's like a, you know, robot one you can do, or, you know, mind blown. Those are fun. And honestly, like when you're queuing up waiting for the game to start, people screw around and do that kind of stuff a lot. So I like that. You can also change the look of your character. 95% of that is just changing the race and sex and hair features of the person, which is okay. I mean, you kind of pick from bots that are pre-existing. And then when you get near the end, you can choose a certain number of races. If you're the Rebels, if you're the Empire, you can be like a speeder scout, or you can be the shadow trooper that's black. So you have 2 customization options that are even interesting. So, okay. It's a little disappointing. They could have done so much more, but it's okay. And then as far as side quests, there are accomplishments that you try and get. Of course, there's always trophies if you're playing on PlayStation like I was, or am still. But there's also like this diorama where through certain accomplishments in the game, you unlock different diorama pieces. It's not the greatest, and it's not like the best accomplishments, but if you play long enough, you're bound to unlock most of them, and it does give you something to work towards. So I'm going to give it a 7. All right, controls and playability. I actually found this game really easy to pick up and play. I thought all the buttons were smart, easy to get to. The only thing I don't like about the controls is to use your star card, you have to hold down triangle, and that extra second is sometimes the difference between life and death on the battlefield, so that's kind of annoying.
No, I hit shield!
It was really easy to pick up and use. Even like the jetpack I thought was very intuitive and fairly easy to control and figure out what you're doing, and the visuals are so good that it's hard to get lost. I thought the training missions also were good preparation. They allowed you to use weapons you hadn't even unlocked yet, so you had to practice with those, you had to practice with the heroes, so it wasn't the hardest thing in the world to just pick it up and understand the whole premise of everything. Controls and playability, I'm going to give this an 8. Production design was a 10. All the little details, the spaceships, the guns are all straight from the movies. I mean, this was a home run. Graphics, also a 10. Man, EA and DICE nailed this one. It is so beautiful. It feels so real. Sometimes I wouldn't say I ever pinch myself, but there are times I've definitely caught myself saying like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I'm doing this. Like you feel like you're there. Music, I'm going to give a 9. It's the fantastic music from Star Wars. John Williams, you are amazing. But because they're only using that, at times it gets a little repetitive. At least if you've played it as many hours as I have, which is a lot. FMVs. This is a major shortcoming of the game. There are basically 0 real ones. When you play the first player mode, there's a couple as you start the levels. They kind of like walk onto the field. Hey, we gotta get them. Okay. And as you beat it, like the spaceship takes off right. As the stormtroopers come running off, shooting you. It's very, very, very basic. I mean, I appreciate, I guess, some effort, but it would have been awesome to have a few cool cutscenes in there just to reward us for buying the game. I think a really great way they could have done this is as you unlock a diorama piece, then you can go in there and click and get like an FMV that's related to that particular item. Darth Vader, or like ATST, or whatever. It would have been a great reward other than just, oh, I unlocked it. Alright, for wow factor, I'm going to say 9. You can probably tell, as I've said before, there were several moments in playing this game where I just was caught up in the fact that I was doing it. Like I felt like I was living as a rebel in this war, as a stormtrooper in this war. And finally, fun. I'm going to say 8. I had a ton of fun playing the multiplayer and talking with my friends and coordinating and all of that, but I was still left with some of the frustration of not being able to do like a campaign mode and get some type of story and some of the other elements, So I was left with a little disappointment. I was a little frustrated too as they, did updates to the game. They seem to make it easier for noobs to just pop in and start shooting things with a regular laser. They made the special weapons less effective.
It's nerf or nothing.
So all the time you spent unlocking them and figuring out what your favorite combination was kind of seemed like a waste. There's several of them I never even use anymore because they've made them so impotent. Pardon my French.
You're what the French call les incompetents. What?
So overall, that gives Star Wars Battlefront an elemental rating of 70 out of 100. Now, don't think of this like when you're in school, that's like a C, because I really think the game was better than that. Just 100 is like an absolute perfect game that has every single element maxed out. So that's a super, super, super rare thing. Star Wars Battlefront is fun, and especially if you understand coming into it that there is no story mode whatsoever. You're just getting an online multiplayer game where you get to take part in the Star Wars universe. You're really going to enjoy it. If you like this review, like and subscribe below so you can see more. And may the Force be with you.
Just move.
It was very intuitive. It was really easy to pick up and go. Works like many of these other first-person shooters as far as the zoom and the fire and locating your special weapons, changing weapons.